Welcome back to another Vampire Survivors video. I'm currently waiting for the update. I hope it happens soon. We don't know when, but it's supposed to happen today. So, hey, how about we take a look at the highest level run, which is by far not the highest level. In fact, it's not even remotely close. So, just for a reference point, you see the level in the title, right, that I achieved. The highest level right now is 187. And I think I got around 166 if I remembered right, and that would put me at spot 15. Whew! So, yeah, there's a lot lacking. Now, the comment of the day is from Duong. I'm really sorry if I slaughtered his name, because I always suck at it. But he says this game is so deep yet simple in a way. And yes, I 100% agree. I said this a while ago while I was writing on Discord about the game. It's simply amazing. Like, the thing is, yes, if you just want to play the base game, you probably have like 5 to 10 hours of playing. Maybe 20 hours if it takes a bit longer and you're not used to these kind of games. But that's it, right? And I currently have... Ooh, I closed Steam. Yeah, that's very smart. I currently have... Let me check. I have 120 hours in the game. Obviously, also relying because I make content of it, right? Videos on YouTube, but it's not like I didn't play on my own. These videos were just uploads of what I was doing either way. They were originally just streams. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So, amazing. Like, I really enjoy it because it's a bit like Minecraft, right? Where, okay, I know some people really have something against Minecraft. I don't know what's going on there. I'm talking about the game. I don't care about community or whatnot. I don't think the community is that bad or so, but whatever. Like, the game, when I started playing it in 2011, it was super duper simple, right? There was not a lot to do, and it all came down to creativity and how much you can do. Now, obviously, here we can't create levels yet, and things like this, but... You know, you can still challenge yourself and have very interesting and still unique runs, which is a lot of fun for me. So let's talk about the level run right now. Now, I haven't looked at anything. I don't know the ins and outs of level runs. I just wanted to, you know, get a first one in and just see how it goes, if I can come up with an interesting strategy. And as you might notice, I didn't even plan out what items I want to have. Every single time I pick up something, I take a bit to think about what might work or what might be bad. The only thing I knew were the following things that I want to have. Crown early on, as early as possible to get more experience out of the experience. Now, I don't think you need to have it like level 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Like we want to have it with the Clover. Because the end levels give so much experience that whatever bonus you got here is pretty much nothing. But what you do want to have is, you know, before level 20, maybe level 5 Crown to power through it. But even that doesn't seem to be that necessary. I might be wrong on the entire thing, but so far that's my experience. And yeah, so far I picked the Lightning Ring. I was thinking, like, how do you get a lot of experience in this game, right? And the main levels that matter are the levels beyond 25, and then especially level 29 when the big boys start spawning, they give so much experience, it's insane. So, what's the mandatory thing I go for? Obviously Pentagram as last item. At least I'll try that. I also go for a Vandalier. I personally gotta say it didn't convince me. Like, in hindsight, I'm not sure if it's like really just good at the levels where everything else would suck so badly. But I think if I just would have had a Scythe instead of the Vandalier, it might have been so much better. I don't know, maybe. Like, because if you combine all of the AoE, the Hellfire, the Thundering, and the Scythe, right? Because they hit a lot of enemies at once. That's enough to kill the later stage enemies. And that's the point of Vandalier, but with Vandalier you have to move around and everything and hit on the right side. And yeah, I don't know what to think about that. But let's see, like, I'm not saying that is the case, it is just my feeling so far, okay? This is just a feelings video. Without emotions. But yeah, usually what people go for in the most kills run, and I looked into that deeply because I was like, wait a second, like, how do people get different numbers of kills if they always kill everything on the screen, right? Like, if you think about it this way. No matter how fast you kill enemies, if always the same amount of enemies spawn, how do you kill them faster? And I'm gonna be honest, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, even now, I don't... Like, something is missing. When someone explains to me, the way they do it is they use a knife, the 1000 edge, And in reality, the active game is like around 1.5 times of what you see right now, right? It goes half a screen to the right, left, bottom, and top. And the explanation is that the 1000 Edge is apparently one of the few weapons that can actually hit the enemies in the off zone there, and thus you get more kills. But wait, that doesn't make any sense, because if I stand still, right, and that is the maximum amount of spawns, you can't get more spawns than the stuff that spawns. Unless you do something that increases the spawns, but then the explanation is not that you can kill something off-screen, but rather that killing it causes something else to happen. I haven't seen that, I haven't understood it, I don't get it. Because even if I kill them off-screen, I just get these kills like 2 seconds earlier, right? Or 1 second, however long the creeps will take to walk into the visibility from my screen. So that doesn't make a lot of sense for me. What I wanted to go for was the following. And it will look really wonky and I have to fine-tune this strategy a lot. But the idea was this. We'll try to get as many necklaces as possible, the rosary crosses, right? And eventually at one point we are close to pentagram. That will be after we combine the Vandalier. So I will walk away from the spot where I dropped all the rosary crosses, because if it's on the screen or next to it, then it will get destroyed from pentagram. So I walk away, then I max out pentagram, and with Clover combined, it doesn't destroy items anymore, or experience, okay? And after this is done, we walk back to where the rosary crosses are, and then we can use them at level 29. Now, a couple of things that I underestimated a lot. We don't have an efficient way to walk through enemies, right? Because I'm just going for weapons. The way we do it with X-Dash is we freeze the enemies. Frozen enemies don't deal any damage to you, so you just walk through them. But here, that's really not the case, so... yeah, I don't know. It's really difficult. I don't want to cut this run. I would do it because there was so much standing around and stutter walking. Because if you don't notice, if you walk too far away from enemies, they despawn. And I don't think there is a possibility where this could ever lead to a beneficial effect, right? Because if you make enemies despawn and they spawn on the other side, like a new wave spawns, that just sounds like to me you're on equal terms, right? At best, this would cause that you actually, or at worst, I guess, it would cause that you would lose enemies. And at best, maybe gain a bit. The only scenario that I see where it could maybe gain a bit is if you cause a wave to despawn that had little amount of enemies, and it spawns another wave that had a lot of enemies. But, again, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, nothing of that. And like, I'm not arguing with results, right? Like, if you just stand still and you kill all the enemies that come and you get 50k kills, that should be the maximum. And then you see people that get 71k kills. Like, how does it make sense? By walking to the side. And we took a look at this with a mod. Like, someone used a mod that enhances how far you can see, and it shows exactly the spawning behavior of enemies. And I think I will try to get my hands on that and just do a full run while having this active and just experiencing, like, how does this stuff even work? Because with X-Dash as well, it's really frustrating to figure out how certain things work, because they rely a lot on RNG. And hey, if you just roll a dice, then it's really hard to find a pattern, right? So, yeah. Like, if you had a weighted dice that is 10% more weighted on the 6, you have to roll that dice a lot of times to understand or confirm, right, that it has a weighted 6. But either way, we have the empty tome now. My goal was to get 6 items empty tome, because we kind of need all of these items. I thought about dropping Candelabrador, but my initial goal was that I would get the Scythe instead of the Hellfire. I think the Scythe is, generally speaking, just way better. I'm gonna be honest. I think it deals way more damage. Like, it deals less damage than a ball of the Hellfire, but it hits so many more enemies. It should be better, and my idea was, which completely failed here, get the Lightning Ring, hit all the enemies on the screen, the Scythe goes off, it also hits the enemies, and then if you hit with the Lightning Ring again, they will die. Because the Lightning Ring does around, like, 80 damage, so twice 160, and the Scythe does around, I think, 80 or 90. I might have all of these numbers wrong, but the point is, combined together, this rotation will kill all of the enemies on the screen. Which, towards the end, is your goal. You want to kill them. Now, one scenario that I can see that makes the most sense for me is that all you heard so far, the theories, are totally bollocks. You can't get more kills by walking than you can by standing for a majority of the game. Where does this change? Well, let's take a look at the game. Where does it start for the very first time that you get an insane amount of enemies on your screen? Minute 24, right, with the witches. Now, if this is always like this in the game, that it just respawns in like the upper limit, then this means the faster you kill the enemies, the more it can respawn, and the more kills you'll have. And I think that's the answer. And I think I might be able to use this with Imelda. I'm not sure. It's honestly, it's so hard to do, because I don't know, overall it feels like it relies so much on luck, and I think you are forced into using the knife. Now, it might sound weird, why would I want to use the knife? The knife, quite simple, you can walk with it and shoot it forwards, right? That is the entire point. And that means you can walk through the enemies, and your Evandelier shoots to the top and the bottom, where you didn't kill the enemies with the knife, and then it kills the enemies, right? And that's also why I think that the scythe would be so much better than the Hellfire wand. And why I originally wanted it. Like, if you remember, I only had 3 choices, and one was the Fire Wand, and because I'll go for Spinach, I knew, yeah, that's the one that I'll pick. But either way, I don't know. Like, I'm not sad reaching level 166 on the first attempt, but then again, like, it's not like I have no experience in the game, right? I mean, yes, if you want to do record runs, the entire game changes compared to what you know, but you still apply a lot of the knowledge that you already have in the game, right? So, I think 166 is actually rather depressing for me, for how much I should know and how much I should be able to do. Like, what I hoped was I would get into the 170s, the high 170s maybe, but that just didn't happen. Was the pentagram good? It's honestly hard to decide. I'm gonna be honest. It's really hard to decide. I can't say for sure. There is, in general, there's a lot that is a bit complicated to understand how it would be the most efficient way of doing things, right? Like, what would already help a lot is freezing the enemies. And then you just stand there and you have this point of view zoomed out like crazy, and you check, do the enemies still spawn while the others are frozen in the spot there? I think actually freezing the enemies will stop the spawning, right? If you use the no, it doesn't. If you keep walking, it spawns more and they're already frozen. Yeah, so the interesting part would be, does the game check if where it attempts to spawn someone, if there are already enemies? And I'm pretty sure it does. And I'm pretty sure that is the key. Like 99% sure this is the key. Because you can maximize the spawns by killing them ASAP. Now, again, people claim the 1000 edge goes beyond the screen. I haven't actually seen it, despite, technically speaking, it could have been done with the mod, right? But what it allows you to do, and this is what I rather think happens. Like, the off-screen killing could be a thing, and there's a cross, by the way, at the bottom. The off-screen killing could be a thing, I'm not denying that, but I think what has a way bigger impact is that you're able to run through the enemies. And by doing that, you move them out of the way of where enemies could spawn. So the game spawns more and more and more and more and more. And now you might be saying, wait, but that doesn't make any sense, because if you just kill them left and right, that doesn't change anything. Well, first of all, because you're walking, it's like resetting the spawn area instantly, right? But more importantly, by walking into them, you don't wait for them to come, right? It just speeds up the process by quite a lot. And it just means, instead of just spawning them whenever the enemies moved out, you can insta-spawn them. More or less. Like, not all the waves are the same, right? Like, you don't see a huge amount of waves while I'm walking here. These waves here seem to be limited, but especially 24 minutes onward, I would say. It's probably the case where the game attempts to spawn, but it fails a lot of times. And I'm gonna be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if someone eventually would reach something at 90 or 100k even. It's really complicated because there is this myth, and I say myth not because it has like zero backup, but rather because it's unconfirmed. Or this theory, I should say, yeah, that's called a theory, good. That if you move to the right side, you get more spawns than if you move to the left side. Now, I can't say whether this is true or not. You would need to make hundreds of runs where you run to the right side and hundreds of runs where you run to the left side. And you would need something that insta-kills all the enemies that appear, like immediately. And then count, is there any difference, right? To account for all of that. Now, then you should probably also do more runs where, I don't know, you don't insta-kill them, but you deal like, I don't know how much damage, 20% of their HP per second, enough to kill them, right? But they still have to walk through your screen, because there might be a weird behavior if all the enemies are always missing. And the game just attempts to give you the max amount of spawns possible at any given time. That would be a bit, wow. You know, that would really screw these numbers up, because you can't possibly do that. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going further to the left. This is the point where I think I'm about to hit level 8 with the ebony wings. And I have a chest on the ground, and I also realized there's another empty tome. This was a very lucky map. It had 3 empty tomes. Like, I failed a run, an attempt, a start, because I didn't get the empty tome. There was none on the map. And then the next one I did, that was successful, which is this one. I had 3 empty tomes, but I only found 2 so far. I didn't continue. I don't think it mattered. But yeah, now I can upgrade it, so now I get the Vandalier. And my next goal is I want to gather experience in a spot, and then upgrade a mass amount of times at once. But I had this constant fight in my mind of, okay, I have to idle an AFK here, right? To get the to get a lot of levels at once, so I can max out the pentagram right away. And at the same time, I was like, dude, I want to get back to my candles and destroy them to get more rosary crosses, necklaces, whatever they're called. So you will see me standing still, and then I'll start moving and try to do something. And then I'll stand still again, and then I'll start moving and try to do something, because I'm constantly, like, I'm undecided on what I should really do. And what I should have done here, probably, stand on top of the candle set spawn here, wait for way more experience to be gathered, because this was nothing so far. Like, you'll see, this is like 2 levels, maybe. That is by far not enough. I should have, okay, well, the first level was almost full. Okay, well, it's a couple more levels. Okay, maybe it was not unjustified to pick. Okay, it was fine to pick it up. I couldn't have known that I would be that unlucky to not get the pentagram offered once, right? Yeah, that's a bit sad. So far, no pentagram. I think the next pickup that I do is way too early. I think that was the one where I wanted to say, yeah, that was just way too early. At least we got the Heaven Sword now. I think the Heaven Sword, honestly, I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. I don't think you need it for majority of the game, but late game it will deal a lot of damage. And as you can see, I have the damage numbers up. So you will see some weapons dealing a high amount of damage, like beyond 100. Which is, I think, the Heaven Sword, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's a critical strike, say yellow. So that thing does a lot of damage. What I'm doing right now is I'm going further to the left. Two reasons why I wanted to do that. Keep in mind, the moment we... That does nothing, by the way. It's just a visual bug. Or, well, it just does nothing. We don't have it level 6 now. But what I wanted to do is I want to get far enough away that the experience orbs accumulate in one. And also that the pentagram, when I upgrade it, doesn't destroy anything. There's the experience orb. So why do I do this? Well, the moment we get pentagram, it will destroy experience on the floor already. It just does that. It doesn't always destroy everything, usually just destroys a part, but that's a huge loss in experience, right? Maybe I shouldn't have done that, honestly. Maybe I should have just went to the spot where I had the candles, where I had the cross, and just sit there and keep breaking the candles instead of trying to figure out what's the best way with the pentagram. There it is, and as you can see, if you go, like if you pause, and you go before I had the pentagram, there was quite a lot of experience on the ground, and most of it got decimated. But only on the screen. Like, the moment we move out of the screen, nothing changes. So yeah, here we got a chest. Sadly, not a pentagram upgrade. That's what I was hoping for. I think I didn't pick up the red orb. Experience orb. I might be mistaken. I thought I saw another one here. I guess I'm mistaken or so. But yeah, Vandalier obviously crashing through the enemies. Very strong weapon. Problem is it's just limited to the circle around you. But aside from that, it's really good. I think this chest was top. It's like, oh, never mind, it's just one upgrade to pentagram. Yeah, well, never mind. I think if I had to do this in the future again, I would get pentagram way later. Like, my idea was the earlier I get pentagram, the faster I can go back to collecting crosses, right? But that's just wrong. I could have gotten it at any point. Like, I mean, sure, let's not get it when it's the only weapon to upgrade, like Vandalier first and then the pentagram, because then you have to rely on a lucky roll that you actually get the pentagram. But maybe if we only have 2 weapons or items left to upgrade, so it would be a Vandalier, because that has to be combined, and one thing else, right, then I pick up the pentagram. And I could have done that by choice, right? I could have just moved out away from where I dropped all the crosses and go back. And instead I'm wasting so much time here, so much experience, so many levels. I can't go back yet because the pentagram will still destroy the cross at a chance. And I don't want to gamble on this. Keep in mind we don't have a lot of luck in this run compared to X- runs where we hit upwards of 250%. So crosses are not that common. They're actually quite rare. I still believe we got a bit unlucky. And the game ridiculed me because towards the very, very end, it dropped like 1 or 2 more crosses. Like when Death was frozen by the freezing thingies on the ground. But yeah, overall, I only had 1 cross, but even there I panicked like crazy because I struggled so much to get to the cross. There was something else. But either way, we only need 1 more level for the pentagram. And then it has a 65% chance to not erase items. And with our luck, that should be 90% right now. Like, our luck is 90%. And if my calculations are not off, then it's 65 times 1.9, and that is way beyond 100%. So it should never erase items. Is that true? I honestly don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know it. It could be that it honestly still destroys experience still on the ground. Like, maybe here you could compare it. You could actually do that. You could go back in the video, pause it, before I picked up the 7th pentagram, the level 7, and compare if experience disappeared after it got activated. And then it would, like, you would need to do a lot of checks, but it's also complicated because I noticed sometimes experience disappears or merges or something. While I was doing an attempt to stay level 1 the longest I can with a certain strategy. And it was weird because I saw experience drop on the floor and suddenly it just disappeared. Like, without moving away. It just disappeared, and I'm like, what? I've never seen that happening before. I mean, nice for me, because I want to avoid experience, right? And clear the path, but like, what? So yeah, here I'm really undecided whether I should just stand still or keep moving. The simple reason is, I want to break the crosses for more necklaces, for more... I don't want to break the crosses. Want to break the candles for more necklaces, for more crosses. But at the same time, in my head, I'm like, whenever I move, I might despawn enemies. And I might reduce the chance, like, the amount of people that I kill, like, right? The enemies that I kill. So I'm constantly undecided on what I should do, and I still don't know it. I think this would need testing. The other option is, I just don't care about the crosses, but imagine we actually got 3 here. Like, the amount of levels you get just from killing the final wave is absolutely insane. If you can kill it multiple times. Combined with pentagram, you can get up to 2 kill shots. Now, you should upgrade pentagram at a certain amount of time, and I didn't care about that. I read that in the High Score channel, where they talked about it. That if you do it right, then it goes off 2 times. Because I think the cooldown right now is around 33 seconds. Which means if it goes off at, let's say, 28 minutes and 59 seconds, and the next time it goes off is at 29 minutes and 32 seconds, and the next time it would go off, so it only went off once, right, so far, in 29 minutes. The next time it would go off is already at 30 minutes, right? 29, 32 plus 33 is beyond 30 minutes, which means all the enemies are already dead, and it was totally useless. I think I managed to pull it off, but honestly, if I would say that it was anything but luck, it was just luck. I mean, the window is quite generous that you'll hit 2 nukes. I'm not even sure if it's 33 seconds or 40 seconds. I'm not 100% sure, but I think on X- it was 40 seconds. And on other heroes, it's 33 seconds, and only... what's his name? Arca. He has additional cooldown by leveling up, negative 50%. It reduced the cooldown by 15%. I think he gets to 23 seconds. 21, 23, something like that. But yeah, either way, I'm not all too happy about the result, as I said. But now we only have 9 minutes ahead of us, so we can see what happens. I also wasn't sure. I panicked a bit, and I started collecting experience. I it might have an effect on how much or how many levels you get, the longer let experience accumulate. Okay, that makes sense, but what I mean is that there might be some sort of quirk that with all the multipliers that happen in the game might cause the pile, the bigger it is, to give more experience. Now that is a completely without a ground, without a proper argument theory, but I really like to theorize about especially crazy things, because if you manage to confirm these crazy things, you can be certain most other people didn't think of it, right? And it will give you a major advantage. Now, as I said, I'm not claiming that if you just, let's say you wait for 10 minutes, you get 80 levels, and now you wait for 15 minutes, and now you would get 100 levels, right? There are two scenarios that could happen here. If you picked up previously at 10 minutes and 5 minutes later, you got 80 levels and then 20 levels, so it would also result in 100. Or, instead of getting the 100, where you waited 15 minutes, it would be a total of, let's say, 110, right? Because multiplication and something go weird or so. I will test that out. The problem is it's really hard to test stuff like this out, because it relies on getting, technically speaking, to make a proper test, you would need the same kill amount, you would need the same, well, actually, what matters is you would need the same amount of experience drop with the same amount of orbs. Now, what's the problem? The orbs are not identical. As weird as that sounds, there seems to be some variance in experience based on what is dropped. I noticed this when I tried to stay level 1 for the longest that I could on Porta. Because I have a theory that there's a way to make him invincible and to insta-kill the enemies every couple seconds on the screen, instantly. And that I wanted to try that, to finish a game like this on level 2. But for that I had to stay level 1 for the longest time possible, and sometimes when I killed an enemy, like the first waves are always the same stuff, right, up until 1 minute. If I killed an enemy, sometimes it would fill like 1/3 of my experience bar, sometimes just 1/4, sometimes just 1/5, and even worse for bosses. There the effect was the most visible, because some bosses would drop a blue gem, and the same boss killed again another run would drop a green gem. And I'm like, huh? That was the difference of moving my experience bar by a couple of inches, or filling it out. And I'm like, what? There are so many factors that you have to consider, and honestly, I don't know. It's just so much to look into. And that's why I kinda didn't continue with the highest kill possible. Because if you're forced to use one specific strategy, right, you have to form everything around the moving to the side with Arca, because it fires faster. And you have to run to the side for your 1000 edge to kill the enemies off screen, which is at least the reason why people do it. Again, I can't confirm it. But that means you can't optimize that. There's nothing that will ever beat this. Because most weapons that I know, they do not go off screen. Hellfire disappears. Scythe disappears. I did a very, very simple test where I let them go off screen just for a tiny bit and instantly tried to catch up with them, and they were gone. Like, if you just use a normal hero and you don't have Brazier and you have Wings level 5, you are faster than the projectiles. And that's how I did it. I didn't wait long for them to be gone out of the window, right? I didn't wait long, so they didn't reach the max distance. I think it just instantly disappeared the moment it wasn't on the active screen anymore. And I think it was the same for the Scythe. But yeah, that means you're forced into the 1000 edge. There's no other way. And it seems to be the case here as well, that you have to do that just to get higher wave spawns. Now, do you move around a lot? I don't know. Maybe I should just look at the current records, the videos of them, to see how they did it, what they did differently, and get a better understanding. But my issue is, the reason why I like the gold record so much is because, like, a majority changed there. I still had to use X-Dash, okay? That you often use the same hero is mostly a given, because there's a reason why it's assumed to be the best. Now, sometimes hero change. So, for example, before Arca, Mortaccio, the one that has more projectiles, was the one mainly used. But I think X-Dash is insanely hard to beat. The only one that I could see doing that is Imelda, but even with the highest level that I've seen on Imelda, it's impossible. And you would still need to go for Stone Mask, you would still need to go for, like, all the other items, right? that you need to upgrade your economics that you would usually not go for on Imelda. So that means you will have less levels in the end. And then suddenly you gain less and less and less, and you miss out on all the luck that caused X-Dash to collect all the gold like crazy. So it's I don't know. I don't think you can change X-Dash, but you can definitely change his build. Like, I looked at the top 3 records, and mine on of 2 other guys, and I noticed, while some weapons were identical, right, because they are simply way too strong, and because you need a Laurel, and you need the Clock Lancet, you need them because you need to freeze death. And then you keep breaking the candles, and they will give you more gold, right? That's why you do it. Now, in theory, you don't need these. What you could do is just get other weapons, kill more enemies, and then you gain also more gold by having more levels, right? But the amount of levels that you get is actually so minimal from the weapon difference, because it's not that much. Now, since one update I said that the enemies are so much harder to defeat, it might actually be viable to go for a damage build, but I was forced into not having the Laurel in my latest run that I did. Obviously not uploaded, because I didn't have Laurel. But I finished it, and it was so difficult. Not only did I almost always die, right, because you see that in videos, even with Laurel Shield, I lose the shield, so without the shield, I would just be dead. But the problem was, Death appeared, I couldn't freeze him. Oh, wait, did I actually freeze him? No, I tried to collect everything that was still on the map, I couldn't. I needed a freezer on the floor, and I think he just killed me. It could have been that I actually had enough freezers and walked around and tried to collect everything, but there was also experience. Obviously, I couldn't break candles anymore, and yeah. So at this point here, right now, I just decided to pick up the experience as much as I can, just to not have an insane amount of level up windows at like 29.55, right? Because I want that definitely to be finished before Death gets my ass. So yeah, there are Medusas. Now this is the wave, well, this is not the wave, the witches were the wave, but this is another wave I was talking about. Do you see how quickly these just spawned? This huge, insane amount. If I would be able to just walk into them, do you see that? It doesn't end. There are just more and more and more. And if you were able to just walk through them and kill all of them or push them away, like Vandalier is just clearing them out, right? So if right now I had the knives, I would be shooting a path through the middle and would walk in and Vandalier just kills all of them. I would get so many more kills. Like, by far more kills. I'm actually curious to see with how many kills I end up in this run. I think my highest amount was at like 60k or right below 60k or something like this. I didn't upload them because they were really disappointing and other people were breaking already like 69k or so. Maybe I should have done that, but as I said, I don't think it's too exciting, right? Like, at the X-Dash runs, what I like is there's a lot of gambling going on and you don't know how good something is, and it's like opening a party box at the very end of everything, right? But just a lot of times. And you're just hoping for the best rolls and it shows off the work that you did. But there it's just, in the experience one and in the highest kills one, you can pretty much just put a stone on your right click and walk to the right side the entire time. Because that's the thing that you'll do. And not only that, but when I thought about uploading it, I wasn't sure if that would actually be good, because when I paused the game, whenever I had a level up, in my eyes kept, like, it looked as if the screens were moving, right? Because there was constant movement, and that's a thing that happens in your brain. If you look at constant movement and suddenly stops, then your brain will keep the picture moving. Not animated, but the entire picture will move. And I thought, I don't know how good this would be on YouTube, you know? Maybe someone is sensitive towards that or something like this, and it's not a record breaker or anything, so yeah, I decided not to do it. So here I panic because I know the cross is to the right, and I want to pick it up, and at the same time I want to get the most kills out of it that I possibly can, but I'm like, dude, where's my path through? I have nothing. They're just there. Like, I can't kill them. I mean, eventually I will get through, and I will pick it up, and it will do... It's the worst timing ever. Watch this. Watch this. I'll just not say anything. Okay, wait, I thought I would pick it up. Pentagram went off, and right after Pentagram went off, I picked it up. Which means it got, like, maybe it got some kills, like 10. But if you kill a full screen, that's hundreds of kills that you get there. hundreds of kills worth of red orb experience. And I totally wasted that. So I believe I could have hit the 170 here, if I maybe did it a bit better. I decided when death comes, I will pick up the freeze down there and the experience orb, and then I will go around and pick up other stuff, if I maybe still have experience on the ground, right? And this keeps going for a while. It's quite satisfying. Honestly, if it happens to you 1 or 2 times, you actually get really annoyed by it, and you just wish there was a skip button. But, yeah, I mean, not that amazing. Now, one thing I noticed, it could really be interesting to run with Imelda. Like, look at our gold right now, right? We never optimized for gold runs. And I will talk about this when we see the end screen. We didn't optimize for any gold run or so. But if we would have had the stone mask, a stone mask is not a bonus 50%, right? We wouldn't have had 50% more. Because you already have 150%. It increased it by 1/3. But we would be at around 14k, I think, or 15k here. Honestly, for an unoptimized run, that could be something. There could really be something. But yeah, there it is. There's the end screen. I hope you still enjoyed the video. I will see if I'll do more on this. Honestly, I didn't think it was exciting. But hey, let me know what you think. See you the next time. And I'm out.